Building Safer Communities, Regent Park's Family Safety Discussion with Constable Mustafa Popalzai. Hello, I'm Miguel with Regent Park TV. On July 15th at Daniel's Spectrum, community members from all ages came together for the first of 12 sessions in the Safer Toronto Stronger Future project, organized by Happy Moms, Happy Children. The event focused on practical strategies to help keep families safe, whether at home, online, or out in the community. Leading the session was Constable Mustafa Popalzai, who served here in Regent Park as a community officer for several years. Now part of the Toronto Police Investigative Unit, Mustafa's connection to the neighborhood remains strong, and his return to lead this workshop was welcomed by the community. It was definitely an open and insightful conversation filled with thoughtful questions, useful strategies, and a genuine sense of connection. Before we show you the full interactive session, we spoke with Constable Popalzai about why this initiative matters and how it's helping build stronger, more informed communities across Toronto. He shared about his commitment to Regent Park, his work with local youth, and Project Hope, a key newcomer safety initiative he helped develop. Let's begin with that interview, then move on to the full community session.
Absolutely. Today is not only a wonderful day, but it's a great day because I'm back in Regent Park. I always say this, no matter how far I go physically, Regent Park is always close to my heart. And just coming back here, it's amazing seeing the familiar faces that I used to work with in the community. And the community is what really makes Regent Park unique and amazing. And it's the people. It truly is the people. It's the community that brings everyone together and makes this community such a vibrant community. It's not the buildings. I mean, buildings may change. As you can see, there's been a lot of development going on in Regent Park over the last, almost a decade, and it's continuing to change. But it's never the buildings. It's never the structures. It's always the people. It's always the community, and that's what truly brings joy to me now. As far as my role, I can't believe it's almost 4 years now since I left my position as a neighborhood community officer here in Regent Park, a position that I will define it as one of my highlights of my career. And now being back here to speak with the community. Some members that I was in contact with, they reached out and they asked if I could provide a workshop or information session in relation to providing safety tips for families, and I accepted it gladly, coming out here and meeting the people and providing this workshop. As far as my current role, I'm working as an investigator in an investigative unit now. So I do come to 51 Division once in a while, but unfortunately I do not work on a daily basis here in Regent Park or in 51 Division. But I always make time. I always try to make some time and stay in touch and stay connected with the community. Because I truly miss it. I miss the people. I miss, all the relationships we had built over the years. The youth, some of the youth, I just saw some of them walking in to Daniel's Spectrum, and it's amazing how big they got and how much growth they have developed over the years. I couldn't even recognize a couple of them. So it's always good coming back and seeing people happier, more successful, developing in their personal and professional lives, and that's what brings joy to me. To be really honest with you, I don't even see myself as a police officer when I come to the community. I see myself as just a regular member of this community. That's how connected I am with the community, and that's how much I enjoy my relationships with the community members there. And I don't walk in here thinking I'm a police officer and I'm different than anyone else or everyone else here. It's actually quite the opposite. I feel like I belong here. Right now I'm not even working. However, I chose to come and provide this workshop, so I'm off duty. But I still want to stay in touch with the community members. And as far as Project Hope, you mentioned something very important, Fred. Project Hope has been developing and this behind the scenes. We have not given up on it. It's absolutely in the works, and we're really excited to share some really good news with not only with Regent Park community members, however, the residents of the city of Toronto. We're working truly towards building the first newcomer newcomer assistance program for newcomers provided by police service in Canada. So it'll be one of first in its kind. It will be a newcomer program provided by police service, the Toronto Police Service, to all the residents of Toronto, and it's something that hopefully other police services will also replicate surrounded in the GTA. And the reason for that is, as we have seen over the last 4 years, I mean, you could use Project Hope as a case study for the bigger picture. It truly helped a lot of newcomers. It helped a lot of refugees. It brought people together. It removed those barriers between law enforcement, specifically the police, and the newcomer population that's growing rapidly here in the GTA, and especially Toronto. And those are all the important things. It brought youth together. It brought youth, together and assisted them to get to know their local neighborhood officers, and remove the fear from their minds, which was the ultimate goal of the project. So hopefully we can have a good news for everyone, very soon. And objective will be to have Project Hope as a newcomer assistance program in every single division across the city of Toronto. So hopefully we could launch that program, which will be a structured and more disciplined program across the city of Toronto. But when it comes to the ongoing projects and day-to-day or week-to-week events, I'm continuing to attend events, provide information sessions. I'm still in touch with a lot of newcomer organizations such as Costi and Polyculture, to name a couple. There's a lot of work being done behind the scenes, even though I'm not working in a capacity as a neighborhood community officer. So it is a bit challenging for me because I have to balance my day-to-day professional job with keeping this project up and running. However, because I have a lot of passion and I strongly believe in this project and have a vision that this project will be launched and will be able to help thousands and thousands of newcomers to the city of Toronto. The work will not stop, and we're going to keep going. We have a really good team, and I must also give a big shout out to all our volunteers. We have over 120 volunteers for Project Hope, people who are dedicated, people who are from our communities, working for our communities, and welcoming these newcomers and making sure that their lives are easier when they first come to Canada. You also asked me about my involvement in sports. Yes, we just came back from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. We were there for the World Police and Fire Games. I love sports. Anyone that knows me in Regent Park also knows that I'm very involved in sports. Not only myself playing the sports, especially basketball and cricket, but I also had a number of pro-action Cops and Kids programs in Regent Park. Myself and Farza, we ran the boxing program, the Regent Park boxing program called the Ring Leaders. We had a soccer program here at the Regent Park Community Center. We had a basketball program at the Regent Park Community Center. We also had a cricket program at Lord Dufferin. So we run a number of pro-action Cops and Kids programs, and those programs will continue. Last year we held it in Thorncliffe and Flemington Park area. And once again, I'm hoping to connect back with the youth. So yes, I did participate in the 3-on-3 basketball tournament in Birmingham, Alabama, and luckily we won bronze medal. So that was good, seeing officers from all over the world and competing in the World Games. But at the same time, I would like to, have the programs with Pro Action Cops and Kids launched again, hopefully back in Regent Park. Today I was invited by Happy Mom, Happy Children. It's a non-for-profit organization ran by a lovely lady named Rabia. I met her actually not too far away from here in Regent Park. And it was, I'll let her share the story, but at the time she was pregnant, and the kids were playing soccer and she got hit by a soccer ball, which obviously caused some concerns to us, and we went over and we had a chat with her, make sure that she's provided with medical assistance. We called the ambulance and everything. That was my first interaction with her, and years later now, that child is now almost 5 years old, and our relationships, it's still going strong. And that goes to show you that no matter how far or distant you are away from the community, as long as you build those bridges, as long as you have those positive interactions and relationships with your community members, the connection will always be there. So I mean, that's a perfect example. It doesn't get any better than that. I met her once 5 years ago. However, we stayed in touch, and I got to know about her great workshops that she's providing in the community here in Regent Park, and I gladly accepted the invitation to come here and speak to the community members and assist with this workshop.
How impactful are these working tables, the safety initiatives that come from the community?
It's extremely important. As I said, I've throughout my 11-year career, I've worked both in numerous investigative roles and also in the community as a community neighborhood officer. And I can assure you that there's no one recipe for success. It has to be a combination of both. You have to be connected with your community through community programs and information sessions and workshops and safety plannings and such events like that. And obviously at the same time, you need those investigative teams and units to work behind the scenes and make sure that those responsible in criminal activities are brought to justice. So it's a two-step solution. One cannot work with the other. You need both, and that's why I enjoyed both. And unfortunately, I can't pick one. That's why I've tried to balance my career doing both because I truly believe that it is a double combination. You need both of them if you want to have a good, safe community. So providing information sessions to community members, such as today's workshops, and letting them know about some safety tips, online safeties, the scams, the frauds, all these other issues that we're having in our community. Also, the gun violence is something that has significantly impacted the city of Toronto, even though the shootings have been down. However, it's important to keep those conversations going and let our community members know that they need to be aware, they need to be vigilant. And also, if they see something, they need to say something. And it's not always easy to, call police directly by calling 911 or the non-emergency line. But that's why these relationships with neighborhood community officers becomes very important. There's services of the Crime Stoppers there as well, where residents can anonymously report crime to police to make sure that the communities are safe. Because without our community members, and I'm sure you've heard this a lot from me and other officers in Regent Park over the last years, we as the police by ourselves alone will not be able to keep our communities safe. It truly is a partnership with our community members to keep our communities safe, and that makes it extremely important for us to work together. And that line of communication has to be there. And I believe workshops such as the one I'm providing today, bridges those gaps and allows community members to raise their concerns, ask questions, and avoid those confusions, because there's a lot of confusions and misinformation out there, unfortunately, which is also important for me to mention. There's a lot of misinformation out there on social media or just even online, and that's why it's important to get the answers from the root, from the officers who can guide them and provide them the information that is more accurate and in line with their concerns.
Now, let's head upstairs to the third floor of Daniel Spectrum, where local families gathered for this inspiring and practical safety session. Here's the full coverage of the personal and family safety workshop, brought to you by Happy Moms, Happy Children.
Popalzai. I used to work in Regent Park. I was a neighborhood officer. I worked here for 4 years almost, specifically as a Regent Park neighborhood officer, and I spent maybe 8 years in 51 Division. So right now I've moved on to a different role, but I was just telling Fred the story of how I met, you guys all know Sister Rabia, right? Yeah. So how I met her was actually we were riding our bicycles, myself and my partner Farzad, in Regent Park, right here in the Nelson Mandela parking lot. And the kids were playing soccer. You guys have seen people play soccer in the summer? So someone kicked the ball and it hit Sister Rabia in the stomach. And she was pregnant. I think she was 8 or 9 months pregnant. So she was in a lot of pain and distress, and so we ran over. That was my first interaction ever with her. We stayed there, and obviously we called the ambulance to make sure that she gets treated. Thankfully, everything is okay. And now the baby is 5 years old. It's kind of shocking, right? time flies, and I was telling Mr. Fred, that's how relationships are built, right? So I worked a lot in Regent Park. I know a lot of the youth here, but a lot of them have grown up, including her 12-year daughter now, because when I last saw her, she was a lot younger. So the main goal for this presentation or workshop is it's going to be pretty informal. I've provided a lot of these information sessions to the community, and I want to listen to your concerns, and if you guys have any questions, I'll answer those questions specifically. But I can also touch up on some topics and some things that, as families or as youth, people can do to keep themselves safe. So before I begin, just so obviously I could talk about so many different topics, right? Is there anything that you guys are more interested in, especially the youth? First of all, thank you so much for coming, guys. Working with the residents, and especially in Regent Park, I've always said this. People ask me, how do we keep our community safe? How do we keep our kids out of trouble? This is, a perfect example, right? Having your kids connected to you or to community, and making sure that they, not come to events like this, but just in general being around you, the parents being involved in their lives is the number one way you could keep your families and kids safe. Why? Because you can guide them, you can mentor them. Kids make mistakes, I make mistakes. We made tons of mistakes as kids or as youth, right? So it's really important to have them, around you, and make sure that, their issues and problems are resolved. I wish I was here still, because we had a lot of programs actually. And what do you guys play? Basketball, soccer? So we had a really successful basketball program in Regent Park Community Center. And that ran for two years. We provided all the kids with basketballs, and we gave them shoes and everything. So I'm not sure what the neighbor officers or the program is now, but I wish you guys were. I'm sure you guys were much younger back then. But first thing I want to start off, and if you guys have any question, please raise your hand. Okay, this is very informal. Like as I said, when I come to community events like this, I don't even feel like I'm a police officer. I'm just a resident. And just to give you guys a little background about myself. I wasn't born here. I was born in Kabul, Afghanistan. Okay, so I was 14 years old actually when I came here. So I came in the year 2000, so about 25 years ago. So you can do the math and guess my age. But so I came as a teenager, and when I came, I always share the story is when I came first to Canada. For the next 10 years, I never spoke to a cop. And sometimes, people say that they don't trust the police, then they don't trust the uniform. I totally get it. And I get it to a point where it's a completely different ballgame from where I came from, right? Sure, there's problems here with police. It's not perfect. But what I've witnessed, with myself or my parents or my families back home, it was beyond belief, some of the stories. So obviously I didn't trust police. I never really associated with them. I never wanted to be a cop, period. And so I was like almost 25 years old, and I still had zero interaction with police. Just because of, my negative perception of police that I had growing up. Even though I did my master's and I went to university for 7 years getting my master's in law, I still was not really, involved with police or connected with them. And sometimes I wish that if I had connected with an officer, maybe at a young age, through a community program or a workshop or something like that, it would have probably helped me answer some of my questions, and just get that negative perception out of my mind, right? So a lot of the concerns the community members have, I do get it, I feel it, I understand it, and that's why it's important for we all to be transparent, and if there's any issues or if there's any questions or concerns you guys have, please share it. I'm just one person. I don't speak on behalf of the entire police service. I wish I could change everything, but I'm not, obviously that's not my capacity, but I could do whatever to provide information to you guys. So if you have any concerns or problems, you could find the solution for it. The number one issue that we're facing nowadays, especially when it comes to youth or even families, is online stuff. So the online safety, right? Everything is online. I can't live without my phone. I'm going to be honest with you guys, okay? I'm a little bit addicted to my phone, and people ask me why. Because everyone does everything through their cell phones, right? Banking, emails, social media, notes, pictures, photos, videos, like anything you name it, everything is done online. So it's very, very hard to stay away from your phone. It's very, very hard to disconnect from your online presence or social media. Like I personally have a social media as well. I use it for work, and some of the events or community things that we do, we try to post it out there so people can see and kind of connect with us, and has helped us a lot, because a lot of the members, and even Sister Rabia, about this one, she reached out to me on my Instagram. So I understand the importance of it, and I know you can use it in a positive way, but at the same time, it brings a lot of negative things to it as well. I mean, working as a police officer, some of the violent crime that is being committed, including some of the shootings or some other, things of gang culture, has some association to social media. A lot of people commit crimes or do things, and they want to talk about it, or they want to flash it on social media. Causes problems, causes issues. And at the end of the day, it brings a lot of mistrust within our communities. So the question is, it's very hard to give you guys an answer of like what to do or what not to do. But some of the tips, especially for the younger generation, that they're bound to have like social media. They're bound to have an online presence or use internet. It's just going to happen sooner rather than later. But it's important for them to know and be aware of the risks that are out there. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that conceal themselves behind these accounts, right? So you see them as a male, or you see them as a female, or you see them as a person, but in fact, they're not a 13-year-old boy or a 13-year-old girl. They're somebody, an adult or in the later stages of their lives, and they're pretending to be some child or just try to lure kids into a lot of things that they shouldn't be doing or getting involved. And we have had a lot of cases of that as well. So it's important for parents that if your children or kids are involved in online social media stuff, that you're aware and you monitor it. You see who they're following, who they're messaging. A lot of these accounts are fake accounts. It's very, very hard to tell. They can put a few pictures, but how do you know those pictures are real? How do you know that if that person is real? They make you do something, or they ask you for money, or they ask you for a picture. And this has happened too before, especially these accounts. They'll ask you for a picture. They build a relationship with you. They ask for a picture, and then once you send them a picture, which is most of the time will probably be inappropriate, then they use it against you, and they say, "Hey, listen, now I have your picture. Now you have to send me money, or else I'm going to release this to your family, to your friends." And once something is out there online, it's very, very difficult to get rid of it, right? And that way they can blackmail you. They could ask for more things and more favors, and cause a lot of stress and problems. And I've witnessed dozens of families going through similar situations. So it's very, very important to know who you're speaking with on social media. The other thing I want to share is do not post too many personal information, right? Like license plates, cars, things like that even people that commit break-in enters, if you live in the house, if you post online, you say, I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks. Now someone knows that, you live here in Regent Park. It's not hard. If I see, I work there, so if I see a picture of a building, I'll most likely know what building it is, right? Or what house it is. And if they know you're not there and you're home for the next 2 weeks, so that exposes you to dangers of maybe somebody breaking into your home. I'm just giving you a small example, right? So a lot of information that you do share online, be very, very careful. This is especially for the young ones. You guys are all young now, so you probably are not thinking of this, but one day you guys will be doctors, engineers, maybe professional basketball players or soccer players, or you will have a professional status out there, and the stuff that you share now could come back later on, right? Somebody could say, hey, look at what this guy posted, look at the video this guy posted, look at the picture this guy posted. So it's important that you understand that maybe it's okay for you now, but imagine down the line what can happen if somebody comes with those pictures, because you could become a professional athlete and the whole world could get to know you. And then at that point, people are going to find the pictures or things that maybe you don't want people to see or have at the time. So just something to be considerate of in terms of social media. When it comes to other online safety tips, especially this is for parents and maybe elders, maybe people in your communities, you guys can let them know that there's a lot of scams going on. Okay, this is very, very important. I work with a lot of newcomer population who also don't speak the language. They don't understand how the system works, the culture, and everything that's going on. And what I mean by scams is they ask you, they say, you get a call. It's either a call, it's either an email or a link that somebody sends you through a text message. Say click here. I've seen so many different variations. It could be from a parking ticket. Hey, you got a parking ticket, $75, pay this. You see the website, it looks pretty legit, City of Toronto.ca/parking, for example, right? You get scared, your license is going to suspend it, pay this. You go to pay that, they grab all the information, it's a fake ticket, and now they can withdraw money from your bank, okay? I've seen this with, you get a call, it says Toronto Police, 51 Division. You could actually see it on the caller ID. And they say, hey, send, for some of you, this may, you may know this, but imagine if somebody's new. So let me ask actually one of you three, our youngest participants. If you answer a phone, okay, and it says, when you pick up a phone, it says, let's say your mom is, making a meal, she cannot answer the phone, it says Toronto Police. You pick up, hello, a guy or a girl answers, say, hey, how's it going? My name is this, so-and-so. This is the police calling. We need you. There's an arrest warrant for you. Send us money. Give us $300. Would you guys believe that? So let's say they tell you 51 Division. What would you say? Let's say they give you the district. They give you the badge. They give you the name. They give you the division. And they say, hey, give me your personal information. Or else you'll be arrested, or you'll be deported, or give me money. Obviously, you don't want to continue that conversation with that person. Pass it to an adult or an elder. Some of you may be surprised or shocked, but people have lost thousands, tens of thousands of dollars because they fall for these scams. Imagine you're a newcomer, right? And it says CBSA, or it says RCMP, or it says Toronto Police, and they say, hey, you owe this much money. Or we have you for this crime. They'll make up a crime, right? Give us money. Everyone should know this here, hopefully, that police in Canada will never ask you for money. The minute someone asks you for money, you should automatically know that there's something big that's, this big red flag, and something is wrong. Because a police officer should not be asking you for money or for any personal information. So just that's red flag number one. And if they're threatening you and they're saying send me this, send me that, just say, you know what, no problem. If you want to arrest me, come in person, and then you know where I live. Don't give them your address, just hang up, call your local division and say, this is the phone number that called me and this is what they said. Is this true? Right? And most, I can pretty much guarantee that will not be true. It will be a scam, and at least there will be a report on file. So then, at least there will be a report on file, and we'll know who's calling to try to scam you or people in your community. So that's another thing that a lot of our elders or newcomer population are falling for these traps, these scams online. Some of them are romance scams. Some of them are Canada Post. Oh, you have a parcel delivery. Like we all buy stuff from Amazon, right? Everybody shops online. So you think, okay, maybe it's a parcel, like you order some clothing or something. Next thing you know, you only pay $40. But it's not just the $40, they save your credit card information. And then next thing you know, they're making purchases. Nailed it. If I had a little gift, I would give you one. But CRA is the main one. I have received, here's an interesting fact. I have received dozens of CRA calls on my own police cell phone. And they're calling me and they're threatening me that they're going to arrest me because I haven't paid my taxes or I haven't, give them the money that they want. Unfortunately, some of these calls are coming or from other countries or overseas. So it's very difficult to go out there and actually bring them to Canada. That's never going to happen, unfortunately. But it's just for you all to be aware that the bottom line, the safest thing is this. Don't give your personal information to anyone, okay? If you have any doubts, like any doubt, stop. Ask someone or call police.
How much are you getting on Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is pretty much, I could tell you 99% fraud as well, scams. Yeah. Because Bitcoin, the reason they like Bitcoin is because it's untraceable, right? It's very hard for people to know and track and trace. So they can easily take your money instead of going to a bank. They could just, use the online platforms and cash out.
Oh, and gift cards.
Gift cards, that's
If the gift card takes it, then it's automatically.
correct. So let me ask you this: who has received a scam or fraud call? Every day. Okay, so I'm glad that you all are aware of it, but please share this information with your community members, because you may think this is common sense, you may think that people know this, but I'm here to tell you that we get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reports for these kind of scams, and people pay 20,000, 10,000, 15,000. Think about this for a second. If it wasn't making money for the scammers, why would this business continue? Why would they continue calling? Why would these call centers continue to exist? Obviously, it's lucrative for them because they're taking money from these poor people who are new to the country or unaware of the laws or don't know that these are scams, right? So please share the information with your community members, and especially with the kids. Kids nowadays are smart. I must give them that. Like they know these things, but especially when people are new to the country or from other places that they're not used to this stuff, especially when they hear police or they hear CRA or government, they get they have some fear, right? So they get worried and they just don't want problems, so they try to send the money and stop the problem, because in some countries around the world, that's how you get rid of the police, or that's how you get rid of your problem, is you pay off the government, you pay off the law enforcement. Unfortunately, this is the dark truth, right? This is what happens in some countries. So people have the mindset in their mind. And I mean, I mentioned this to you. I experienced that when I was growing up. I did. Right? So this is how, unfortunately, our world is nowadays. So online safety is a huge one. Now, let's talk a little bit about personal safety. In Regent Park, we used to do safety walks. Have you guys ever done safety walks? Have you guys participated in safety walks before? So the whole purpose of it was we had a couple officers would get some community members with us, and we would walk through Regent Park, right? We would walk from different buildings or places of worship, let's say the mosque or whatever that's out there, and we just provide tips for the youth and for the kids and families on what ways to go to avoid possible robberies or just be at the wrong place at the wrong time. I understand. I actually lived in community housing myself too for years, so I know how it is. I totally understand how it is. When you live here, it's very hard. Like you have to walk, you have to go to school, you have to go to the grocery store, you have to go to the mosque. So it's very, very hard not to walk around. But it's also important to be aware of some of the problems that can be out there. For example, this is your community, right? So if you see something out of place, make sure you say something, make sure you report it, make sure you talk to someone, right? As I said, I've been an officer here for 8 years. Unfortunately, I've attended a lot of shootings, a lot of homicides, murders here in Regent Park on these streets. So it's, we can't say it doesn't happen. We cannot say it has never happened. Unfortunately, it has happened. Hopefully it never happens again, but it's very important for especially the youth to be aware that if you're playing basketball or whatever, or you're out there, you communicate with your parents and let them know where you are. And there's a plan for you to come back home safely, or walk through a path that people walk the most, and not if you're wearing a nice shoes or something and you're somewhere that no one knows where you are, potentially you could open yourself up to some risk, right? So it's and once again, I hope these incidents never happen. But walking through the main ways, like I remember when we were doing safety walks, we would even have different areas. We would suggest to the city, hey, can you put a light here? Can you put a pot light here? Can you put some street lamps, just so the path is bright so people can walk, right? So just make sure you take the bright path. You walk with somebody who has a cell phone or something, that if there's an emergency, at least you could call police, or you could call your parents. They could be in touch with them. When I was running the Regent Park basketball program, we requested the parents to come and pick them up. And I know a lot of parents are working, they're busy, so maybe it's not possible always for them to come. But maybe a neighbor, somebody you trust, you can say, hey, listen, My kids are in the basketball court, like whenever it's done, you pick up your kids, can you let me know? So the communication is the key, you know, communication is the key, because as I said, so many times I've unfortunately attended events or incidents where kids are playing in the park, and I say there's a you know, a shooting or something bad that's been happening around the area, right? That could potentially have caused so much harm to the members. So that's something that, you know, those small things are things that you could do to make sure that you decrease the risk. Now, in terms of just the family environment and things you could do as a family, and this is more of a, not even like a police step, but things that I have you know, seen and witnessed over my personal and professional life, is parents being connected to their children. It's the number one thing. I mentioned this before as well. It's important for you to, because I know, you know, living in some of community housing or low-income neighborhoods, parents have to work. You know, mom is working, dad's working, they come home, they're tired. Be aware of what your kids are doing throughout the day. For example, if your kid is 12 years old, and let's say he's not working or she's not working, and one day he comes in, he's wearing nice $260 Jordans, right? As a parent, you should be asking, like, okay, where did you get the shoes from? Or, you know, you didn't have a cell phone, like, how did you get a cell phone? Just being more involved in their lives. And being aware of who their friends are. That's another crucial thing. And again, for the youth out there, I told you guys, you know, I wasn't born here. I came from a different part of the world. And also I lived in community housing. So I understand the challenges. You cannot pick and choose your neighbors. You cannot pick and choose the people that go to school with you. You cannot pick and choose your community members, right? But at the same time, it's very, very important that you don't get lured away into negativity and you don't follow the wrong crowd. You know what I mean? Stay close to your parents, listen to your parents. You know, if you have a question or if you have any doubts, ask them for guidance, because they love you the most, you know. Maybe you don't trust police, maybe you don't trust somebody, you know, outside in the community center, but your parents will never cheat you. Your parents will never give you information that's going to harm you. They care for you the most. So it's very, very important to you know, be around your parents and listen to your parents. Now, another safety tip. It's not always something bad happening out there, or like a violent incident. Sometimes it's just cars too. I've seen some horrific incidents here in Regent Park. I'm not sure if you remember, a mother was killed actually crossing the road. So you have to understand, nowadays, unfortunately, everybody's on their phone when they're driving. Everyone is on their cell phone when they're driving. They're not paying attention, right? And there's drunk drivers there as well, right? People who choose to drink and drive. So you have to be aware. You can't always expect the cars to come to a full stop. And sometimes I see this when I'm driving, is I see the light turns red, and people, without even looking left or right, they just start walking. Just because the light says red, it doesn't mean cars are going to stop. Do you understand what I'm saying? People could be on their phone, people could be drunk, people could not be paying attention. So they could still be going through the red light. A red light doesn't mean every car is going to stop. They should stop, but unfortunately they don't, right? They do, but you don't want to take the risk. So you want to make sure that when you're crossing the road, you're very careful. Especially, I see a lot of kids now on scooters as well. That's very risky as well. Be careful with that. Be very, very careful with that. Especially with cars driving among live lanes of traffic or crossing roads. You have to be very careful with those scooters. I mean, there's a bylaw that scooters are not allowed to be permitted to be driven or operated within the city of Toronto.
For scooters, you don't need a helmet at all, right?
Actually, scooters, according to the city of Toronto bylaws, you're not allowed to operate it. You can only operate on private property. Yes, that's the thing, right? So, the laws are there, but does everyone really follow it? Right? Operate, like ride it, yeah. The scooter, yeah. Electric ones, yeah, electric ones. Yeah, you see it all the time downtown, right? Like you see people riding it all the time. And that's why if an officer stops you, you're supposed to give your ID, and if they choose to, they can give you a ticket, right? Again, I'm not a huge expert on exactly what the section or the bylaw it falls under. However, I do know that you can only operate it on private property. And if you do operate it in public or on the roadway, you can be stopped and charged, okay? An officer may choose to stop you, may not choose to stop you, that's a different story. But you shouldn't be operating a motorized scooter, okay? Yeah, go ahead.
What's your honest opinion on fireworks?
My honest opinion, listen, fireworks, good question. It's actually a good question because with everything in life, you could do it the proper way, the safe way, or you could do it the wrong way, right? So, I mean, if you ask me anything, like even, sometimes people get surprised because if I grab like anything, maybe like even a remote control for the TV, right? I could change the channels with it, put the volume up and down, or I could smash someone, with the remote in their head and make them bleed and hurt them, right? So it really depends what you're doing with it, right? So fireworks, if it's done in a designated area and it's safe to do so, good. But I can tell you this right now. I have seen a lot of, I've seen a lot of youth get in trouble because they're shooting fireworks at each other. People get injured badly. You could lose an eye. Imagine losing an eye. Just imagine, And as humans, we always think about others, right? Like, when we do something, we're like, oh, it's okay. But imagine if someone else does that to you. Imagine you are walking, home, and some guy comes in and pulls a firework and then shoots it and it hits you in the eye, and you lose it. God forbid you lose an eye or something, right? Then it's not going to be really that funny, right? I mean, I have seen it in Regent Park. I'm sure you guys have seen it too when it comes to Victoria Day or some other events. People are just shooting fireworks. I'm sure you guys have seen videos online too. People shoot fireworks across the street. They're trying to have fun. It's fun until it hits someone. It hits like somebody who's elderly, somebody who's pregnant, like, the story I was giving you guys earlier. It's absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I had to take my daughter home because she was so traumatized. Mm-hmm. Correct. And that's a good point too. And I also want to touch upon this because you raised a really good, valid point. And that leads to something that we get a lot of calls. So think about it. When I used to be in uniform and I used to work, we used to sometimes, especially in communities like Regent Park, there has been incidents of violence and shootings in this area. We cannot sugarcoat that. It has happened, right? Like we can't just come and say nothing happened and everything is okay. Things happen here. So in a let's say in a city or community that has been impacted by gun violence in a negative way, fireworks sometimes brings fear and anxiety in some people because they think it's a shooting. They think it sounds of gunshot, and that's exactly what we get the calls for. I could tell you I've maybe attended dozens and dozens of calls that comes of sounds of gunshot. So for us, when we get the call, it says sounds of gunshot, for example. Daniel Spectrum or 25 Wyatt or River and King, right? Yeah, so we go there because people call. It's hard to differentiate. Like even me as an officer, I don't know if is it a shooting, is it a firework? Like I heard it, but I don't know. It's very, very hard to tell, especially if it's coming from a distance, right? So it does obviously take a lot of police resources too now, because when it comes to a call like that, it's just not going to be one car. It's going to be multiple police cars that have to come. Because we want to make sure that nobody's injured, nobody's shot, nobody's suffering from any life-threatening injuries. So that's my honest opinion about fireworks. I mean, sure, it's fun, it's good, if you use it properly, if it's done in a designated way, in a safe way. I don't know. I've never really played with fireworks myself. I'm kind of scared. I don't want to do because I don't want to hurt anybody from myself. I've never tried it myself personally. But if it's something that you like, I don't know all the exact areas where you're allowed to do or you're not allowed to do it. But what I could tell you is what you see out here in Regent Park or like in the community is all illegal. You can't do that, and you could seriously be charged. You could be charged criminally. You could be charged with assault with a weapon, because if you're shooting a firework at someone, that projectile can be considered as a weapon, right? So it's a serious offense. And sometimes let's say you guys are all walking, right? One of your buddies says, hey, let's have some fireworks, let's shoot some fireworks. So now you're with your buddy when the fireworks are being shot, right? You're basically exposing yourself to maybe being stopped by police now, because when, let's say somebody calls from a balcony, they say there's 4 guys. We don't know exactly who did it. Now, you know what I mean? It puts you in a bad spot. It's not worth it to be involved in that. And again, as I said, just think of this, you guys all live in this community. And I'm not suggesting that you guys will do it. Obviously, you guys are asking these great questions. I appreciate it. I honestly really, really appreciate it. And that's the relationship we want to have with the youth. We want our youth to be, open to ask questions. And exactly, right? Be open-minded, ask questions. If they have any concerns, ask away. I don't have all the answers, but if I don't know something, I can tell you I don't know. So, I mean, when it comes to the mechanics of fireworks, I'm not an expert. I can't talk about that. But the bottom line is, stay away from it, especially in the residential neighborhoods. Don't deal with it. Leave it out there. You could get injured. You could lose an eye. It could cause really significant injuries. And if it's a really young baby, like let's say someone like her, God forbid, it could cause like almost severe injury, maybe even death, right? So it's just something that's really, really not worth it. It's just not worth it. So stay away from it. Even Victoria Day, like I remember working here, and we got so many calls, right? And you see kids trying to shoot at each other. Most of them, I'm not sure if they really know the extent of the law, but I mean, they should know that shooting fireworks at someone is not something good. Especially in Regent Park, as you guys know, a lot of people live in this area. It's a small area, geographically, but there's a lot of residents that live here. So it's downtown Toronto, right? It's very, very hard when you shoot fireworks. The chance of you hurting someone is significantly increased. So that is, I'll leave that with fireworks, something that you should be aware of. And I always say this. This is our community. We live here, we play here, we go to school here, right? We eat here, we enjoy our day-to-day lives here. Why create a bad environment for your neighbors? Why create a bad environment for each other? Why create a bad environment for someone else? Put a baby at risk, why would you, why would you put people at risk? Regent Park has, I'm not sure if you all know this, but let me ask you all this. Do you all know your Regent Park community neighborhood officers? Regent Park, just this area in Regent Park, there are 4 dedicated full-time neighborhood community officers. Okay? And this is not for me to kind of brag about myself or talk about myself, but I have left that spot 4 years ago. I'm not even in 51 Division. Community work is not even my role. Like my day-to-day job is investigative stuff. Thank you so much, sir. Solving cases in completely different part of the city. I'm not even in 51. Today was like a day off for me. I'm supposed to be at home, right? But Sister Rabia messaged me. I came here. Why? Because I believe in this line of communication. I love Regent Park. I spend a lot of time here and I have a lot of good connections and good stories. And when she asked me to come provide a workshop, I said, sure, no problem, right? But there are 4 officers. It's very important for community members, especially for you all, to know your neighborhood community officers. There's 4 of them out there. You can find their names, you can find their phone numbers, cell phone numbers, you can find their email addresses online. If you just Google, just put Regent Park Neighborhood Community Officer, their contacts will come. So if there's any concerns, you reach out to them. Because when I was a neighborhood community officer, people used to call my cell phone all the time. I still get the call. Like 4 years later, Sister Rabia still has my number. She calls me, right? That's the whole point of the neighborhood officers, so they can connect with their community. Maybe you don't feel comfortable stopping a random cop, right? And I'm sure Sister Rabia felt that way because she gave me this example many times before. But she knows me, so she didn't even see me as a cop. She just asked because we have built that relationship. We're beyond that uniform stage, right? There's kids, like a youth. You talk about youth. It's very difficult for an officer, I'll be honest, it's very difficult for an officer just to stop by the basketball court and play basketball with the kids because the kids won't play with them. That's what I experienced, okay? Why? Because he's wearing a uniform. Whether it's negative perception, whether it's mistrust in police, whether they have been given wrong information by their peers or people around them, whatever the reason is, we're not going to go there. But the bottom is it just doesn't happen. But the relationships I had with the youth, I would stop, they wouldn't let me go. They would be like, no, everybody, listen, I'm tired, like I'm sweating. I need to go have other things to do. Like, come on, play one more game, officer. That wasn't like that day one. Day one, they didn't want to play with me either. So that's when it comes to us to build those relationships with the community, right? So at some point, with a lot of these youth, I'll play basketball. They never even saw me as a cop. They would just see me as just another guy in Regent Park that is out there is helping them. So that's the ultimate goal. But if and I must say this, that we had some really long-term neighbor officers in Regent Park that have done amazing work. My partner was Farzad Godby. He spent over 10 years there. We had Murcha Biga. He was one of the first neighbor officers in Canada, actually. But unfortunately, the way the police system works, they have moved on to different roles. They're not in this division. Unfortunately, like I had to leave. People move to different units, different things they want to do. So it's very important for you all to get to know the 4 new neighbor officers that are dedicated to you, because they're here to serve you. You need to take advantage of it. If there's any questions or workshops, I mean, I would always love to come speak to you guys and talk to you guys, but it's important for you all to understand that. Now, you mentioned about workshops, information sessions. That is the role of a neighbor officer. They're supposed to go to communities, they're supposed to build relationships, do these workshops. I had pro-action programs like I mentioned before. I had a basketball program, soccer program, cricket program at Lord Dufferin, boxing for the youth. Just engage with the community. We had a seniors program. I'm not sure if Sister Rabbi you remember. Mr. Fred from Regent Park TV has documented a lot of these events. We had a seniors program right here on Sackville, 260 Sackville, for senior residents. We show them some mobility exercises and things that they could do to keep active. So for every different community or people, we had different programs for youth, for adults. So that needs to continue, that needs to keep going. But for that to happen, it's important for you all to know who your neighbor officers are and reach out to them. Don't be shy about it. Again, they're here for you. So I mean, yes, their job is to reach out to you too. I'm not saying you should be always reaching out to them. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you need them, you can contact them by finding their information online. You talk about information sessions. What you said is extremely important. So there's something. Do we have a marker? Is this the one? Okay. So before I move forward, I'm going to give you guys my. So this is a lot of people are on social media nowadays. So this is my Instagram. This is a way you guys can keep in touch, message me, or see some of the work that we do online. Okay. TPS Mustafa. Another thing I want to mention to you all is you mentioned Yippee. Yes. So Yippee, I'm going to put it on the board for all the youth. Please take advantage of this, okay? I see some very smart youth out there. You all need to take advantage of this. This is for you. You get paid during the summer, okay? It's a paid program. You get paid for it. And what you do is you work in a police station and assist with different events or programs, and they basically take you through this 6 to 8 week program where you get to learn more about some of the work that police officers do, why they do it, get to know them, and see if this is something that maybe is for you in the future, right? So we have had people here from Regent Park that were part of this ZP, and they worked in 51 Division. It's a paid program again, and you have to be under 18. So please go Google this. If you just Google the Yippee, Toronto Police Yippee, all the information and the guidelines will be out there. I highly encourage yourself, all the youth that we see here, to please apply and pass it on. Like if you guys have a community chat group or things like that, pass this information on to the chat group. Let them know that these are. So what it stands for is Youth and Policing Initiative. Okay. So that's what it stands for. It's a paid program. Okay, so that's that. Now, last point you mentioned about information session, I strongly believe in it. So we started something named Project Hope. Who has heard of Project Hope? So do you all remember in 2021 when there was war in Afghanistan and a lot of newcomers came, right? So we had about 50,000 newcomers. I'll make a very long story short for you. Mr. Fred has documented our project for a long time. So Project Hope is for newcomers. This is actually for people from all over the world. We have assisted African asylum seekers, people from Ukraine, people from Gaza, people from Afghanistan, Syria, India, South America, you name it, a lot of countries. So the whole goal of this project is when you're a newcomer and you come to a new country, what we do is we go to those sites and those centers and we provide them information sessions. And we tell them our who we are, our role, how to contact police, how to report a crime, talk about scams, talk about domestic assault, talk about how to raise your kids, not hitting your kids, things like that, things that can get them in trouble in Canada, right? So they know, they're aware of, okay, these are the laws here, the laws that can basically get them in trouble, right? So we try to give the information to them so at least they have it in the back of their mind that they could watch out for the things that could harm them or risk them, including scams and frauds and all those other topics. And it all starts with information session. It's a simple information session where we talk about different topics. We also talk about youth violence, how gangs in the city of Toronto or in the GTA recruit youth, right? By luring them into joining gangs, by flashing money for them or giving them nice shoes and, hey, take this, take that. You can only imagine you come from a war-torn country. And I mean, sometimes I kind of put myself in their shoes. Is if you come in as a teenager from a war-torn country, you don't speak the language, you don't understand what's going on here, you don't have money, you're broke, you never had the nice shoes, you never had anything, right? You had a lot of challenges. You come here now, all of a sudden, someone in your building or someone in your school is offering you $400 or $500, right? Here's money. That's when you really need to start questioning yourself, like, okay, why is this guy giving me money? Next thing you know is they're slowly trying to get you introduced into the drug trade. They're trying to make you carry a gun for them. They're trying to make you, be a victim of maybe human trafficking or sex trafficking, especially for females. You have to be aware of that, right? You have to be aware of that. You have to understand that these are some of the ways that newcomer youth or newcomers to the country or unaware of the laws or the structure of this country can get themselves in some trouble. So we try to give them information sessions and lectures and try to break that barrier between them and the police, right? So this way, believe it or not, there's so many newcomers that will not call police even if something bad happens to them. Because either they don't trust police, or they're scared of police, or they believe their problem is not going to be solved. So that's why it's very important for us to have this information session for them and explain it. And I've provided maybe over 100 information sessions for these newcomers over the last 4 years. This started in 2021. We also have an Instagram page for that. You could check that as well if you want. It's called TPS_Project Hope. Obviously, drug addiction has been a problem in the city of Toronto, specifically in downtown Toronto. As you can see, even walking to Eden Center, you see a lot of people suffering from mental health issues or drug addiction issues. Unfortunately, I don't have like a solution for it, but one thing I could advise the community is be aware of it, especially when it comes to youth. It all started, no one was born a drug addict. Everything starts from something very small, right? You try something once, and that's why these are very dangerous drugs. And I always say this, if I start taking those same drugs, it will have the same effect on me. It doesn't mean just because I'm a police officer, nothing is going to happen to me. It's a drug. It will have an effect on any human being. It doesn't matter who takes it. So if I choose to take it, if I choose to experiment with those hard drugs, the consequences will be devastating as well. It doesn't mean I'm immune to it because I'm a police officer and I wear a uniform. So the best way is to be aware and stay away from it and not get involved or not try it. And a lot of times, it starts maybe from a friend or you want to experiment something or you want to try something. And then next, because I've had a lot of conversations with people who are addicted to drugs and are taking drugs and pretty much heard the same story, dozens of times. They never thought it could get this worse. But once you get addicted to it, you have to continuously take it and take more of it to basically satisfy your needs or the addictions that you have, which makes it very, very difficult. And that's how you can't maintain family, you can't maintain a job, you lose your family, you lose your job, you can't work, you can't focus. And unfortunately, you end up, living on the streets. And even the money that you get, let's say you get some sort of assistance from the government, it's so sad for me to say this, but I witnessed people losing their entire month's check that they get from the government in a matter of minutes. And unfortunately, these drug traffickers, they know how to lure people who are suffering from these addictions. And I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. The minute they cash out their check, they literally grab it from their hand. Because, you know, they tell them, oh, you owe money, or I give you this, or whatever the reasons are. They lose that paycheck within minutes. So the best advice I can give is be aware. Be aware of you know, your kids, as I mentioned, what they're doing, who they're with, where they're going, and also recognize that it is a very, very serious issue in our communities today. Some people will just judge police officers because they're wearing a uniform, okay? Regardless of who they are, because they don't see them, they don't know them, they just judge the job, right? I mean, I can tell you this, cops are not perfect. I'm not gonna say every cop that's out there is perfect. But what I can tell you is, without law and order and without police, the society will crumble. I can tell you that right now, okay? We all need police. I need police too. You think I'm always working? Even though I'm a cop, I have called police myself when I need help. Right? So point being is, it's a service. The way I see it is a service. It's a community service. You have a community center, you have a doctor, you have a social worker, you have police, you have fire, you have ambulance. These are all the resources you have in your community. So if you know the day you need help, you call them. It's right? It serves no purpose for community members to look at police as, oh, you know, let's not have a relationship with them, let's not talk to them, oh, all cops are bad. Nobody wins, okay? Nobody wins. Nobody wins. It's a lose-lose situation in my opinion. And yes, I mean, of course, police will get it wrong. And if they do, there's things that are in place to deal with that. But more specifically, the community can, you know, raise their concerns and say, listen, this is not something that we like, and especially with the way police services are operating now, they will listen to your concerns. They have to listen to your concerns, right? If there's something that's not working, put it this way, we had only 1 or 2 Regent Park neighborhood officers. The community asked for more. Now we have 4. Right? So raise your concerns. If there's something you're not happy about, raise your concerns. Go to your local division, get to know the unit commander, get to know your community neighborhood officers. And if something that you're not happy with, or you think there's an area that, you know, needs more attention, whether that's crime related, whether that's proactive policing, like providing information sessions, communicate that with your police service, and hopefully you can get the results back in return, right?
Yeah, thank you. So for example, like let's say, by the way, I have a question. Why when people call 911, our neighborhood community officers don't show up? Like the new officers, we see like new people we never saw them before. So because the community already built a relationship with certain police, like you, let's say, we know you, you know. So then when we call, someone else will show up and we are already terrified because of the situation or whatever is happening, and then you get new people. So why would you not get our own division instead of getting new? This is one question. Second one, if let's say the situation that police is involved, can residents of Poplar, can they report or it's a crime?
Very good question, and I want to be very clear about both these questions, and I want to answer both these questions. So remember, there's 4 neighborhood community officers in Regent Park. They're working on a 7-day schedule. So 2 of them work 7 days, and when they go on 7 days off, the other 2 comes for the next 7 days. So there's 2 officers at all times in Regent Park serving the community. You have to also remember they have vacation, they have holidays, they have doctor appointment, whatever other things that are going on in their lives, which means they're not here every single day. It also means that they're here for 11 hours a day, 11-hour shifts, right? Which means it's not 24 hours. So physically, it's impossible for them to be here all the time. The reason you're seeing these new officers, and I absolutely agree with you, is because police have hired a lot of new cadets, new officers on the road, right? So the way the policing works is, you get hired, you work a couple years, a year or 2 or 3 maybe on the road, which is like the foundations of policing. You drive a car, you go to calls, right? Right, so these officers move on to different specialized units. So unfortunately, they can't stay for long. But even if that happens, let's say a bad incident unfortunately happens, the next day you could reach out to your neighborhood officer and say, hey, listen, I want to see you. I want you to come to the community. So then you can meet them maybe a day after. So if you have their number, you can message them, hey, listen, because they all have work phones. We all have work phones. That's why they give us work phones. When he comes back to work, he can message you and come see you, and then hopefully maybe not solve your issue at that second, but maybe a day later or a few days later, you could get to meet them and raise your concerns. Now, second thing comes about recording, okay?
Yes.
Recording police is 100% legal, okay? There's nothing wrong or against the law when it comes to recording the police, okay? You're allowed to record police interactions. There's no, it's not illegal, okay? Don't be scared and don't worry about it in that way. I personally, to be honest with you, I actually prefer if people record it because we all have body cameras anyways, right? Police officers working in front line, they have body-worn cameras. So the incident is going to be recorded regardless. So now you have just a different angle, different version, no problem. If you feel you want to record, go ahead. But just keep in mind, there's two things to keep in mind. One thing is you can record as long as it is not obstructing with their duties. For example, and it's very simple, but at the same time, people make it complicated. It's not complicated. If you see somebody has got stabbed, and you see these officers are trying to work on the guy, right? Or try to save his life, or officers are arresting someone and he has a weapon, you can't go stand on top of somebody's shoulder and start recording. Because now that's a crime scene. You have to move away. We have to preserve the scene. We have to get the DNA. We have to collect the evidence that's out there. So I cannot give you a black and white answer because it really depends on the situation. But if you're reasonably away, like you're not obstructing, you're not stopping the officer from doing his job, record all you want. There's no problem. Nobody can tell you not to record. You are allowed to record. But at the same time, and especially this for the youth, it's very important to realize. You also see a lot of these videos where these guys just have nothing else to do, but they just want to create content, right? They're called content creators. So them recording police is not to do it for their safety or because they're scared or anything like that. They just want to get a negative reaction. They want to cause drama. They want to get a little video for their TikToks or for their YouTubes, for Instagrams, and they just engage police in nonsense stuff, really, and just want to get a response. Because let's be honest, even me, if I'm online, I see something that's police related, I'll probably watch it, right? Because people watch it. So that's why it's done. So I mean, again, it's not illegal as long as they don't do it obstructing the officer doing his job. But I personally don't see a point in it. But some people want to do it.
Not too much.
I mean, you can listen. It's legal. You can do it. But again, I'll be honest. Okay, normal, like the majority of the population will not do this. It's not because I have never done it, right? Like, I don't see a need in it, right? But if I saw a need, like, okay, maybe I want to record this or there's evidence or something, I'll record it, no problem. You have a phone, go ahead and record. So it's not illegal per se, so don't be afraid. Nobody can tell you you're going to get in trouble, but be reasonable at the same time. Like, I'm not going to go around, start engaging officers in nonsense conversations just to I can get a little clip so I can put on my social media and get some hits. That's what it comes down to. So it depends what purpose you're serving. But again, to answer your question, no, it's not illegal. So one thing that unfortunately in communities like Regent Park people don't do is the people that actually have the concerns or face these issues, they sometimes hesitate communicating them to the police or to the city or to the local MPs. And I highly encourage you all, if you see an issue, for example, like what you just mentioned, you should know who the unit commander 51 is. You could send an email to our corporate communication at the headquarters and ask for an update, right? You can ask for follow-ups because when you come together and you raise your concerns unitedly together and you ask it, not once, but we want an update, you will get an update, right? But if the question is not asked or our service or command does not know that you want this answer, how are you going to get the answer? You're not going to get it, right? So point being is communication, please. If you have a concern, say it. If you have a problem, say it, ask it. Don't just leave it. You just mentioned, there's been a lack of, community engagement. So then you should be speaking to, our supervisors in 51 Division, in the neighborhood office, and get that engagement that you're seeking. Because the engagement is there. We do have neighbor officers. Unfortunately, we had to lose some people because they had to move on, but the services are there, and it's really the voice of the community that matters the most. So, I highly encourage you, please ask those questions. Specifically that, I have no answer, but if you ask our corporate communications, send an email or get in touch with local MPP and basically continuously ask for follow-ups, I'm sure you'll get an answer whether there has been a solution already implemented or it's in the works, right? You'll hear something. Thank you, and again, I really mean this. Thank you so much for coming and listening and asking questions and being engaged.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and visit us on all our social media platforms. Please visit our website for more information.